I don't know about that. All right. So again, sorry for the interruption. Carry on.
Okay. The summer before my senior year, let's see, the summer, I can't remember. One summer, when I was old enough, I did the harvest tour with a crew of 3 and the owner and his wife. We had 2 trailers and 2 trucks for hauling grain, and they also pulled trailers that had our John Deere combines. And the combine only had a 12-foot head. Today, combines have huge heads, maybe 20 feet or more. And the boss had a pretty much a steady run that he made. He knew the farmers he was going to work for before we ever left, that kind of thing. And we harvested wheat all summer. Started in northern Oklahoma, all the way through Kansas, all the way through Nebraska. Was going to start in South Dakota when it was time for me to quit and go back to football practice. And I'd had some bad toothache. So first morning after football practice, I walked down to the dentist's office and told him I had toothache. And he said, "Okay, you got to wait till the end of my patient list, but I'll pull it out for you." It was my wisdom teeth.
Okay.
So he pulled out all of my wisdom teeth that morning, shortly afternoon, and asked me if I had a way home. And I said, "Oh, I got a way home." And because my mouth was full of cotton and all that crap. You have your wisdom teeth out?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Didn't get them all out at once, though. So.
Oh, I have bang, 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 pull them out. And my way home was walking. It was only a mile and a half or so. And he saw me, and he came out of his office, which was his own building. He had his own building, and screamed at me, "Get your ass back here! I thought you had a ride home. I'll take you home." So he did. And he told my dad that I was not allowed to be outside or doing anything except biting on those 2 things, and if I wanted to watch television, I could. I healed properly, but evidently slowly, because I loved it. For the first couple of games, I would bleed.
Right.
And get a good wad of blood. Spit
Nice.
it in the guy's face.
Excellent.
You know, he never made a tackle. I don't understand why.
That's got to be pretty disconcerting.
Yeah. Well, you know, you say something about his sister and throw some grass in his face. And pretty soon, all he cares about is hurting me. Doesn't care about the running back anymore.
Right.
And so,
excellent strategy.
yeah.
Excellent strategy.
Made my night very easy.
Okay.
Then I think the next 2 summers, I worked for Bushman Construction Company out of Farwell, Nebraska. Dad had gotten me the job the first year, and the second year he had died, but I got the job anyway. And worked on backfill crew as we laid concrete pipe across roads and stuff to get the water from the dam to the fields. And that's what I did 2 different summers in a row.
Okay.
And I must have been in college probably after my second year. Must have been after my first year. Jim Caritas, who was our neighbor, officer for a company called Heinzman Irrigation, which made irrigation equipment. And he got me a job there helping make aluminum irrigation pipe. And there was an assembly line, and this pipe would come down, and this guy, and it hit the end, and this guy would cut it off, and aluminum weld couplings onto the end, and then push them on down the line to me. Oh, and then he would cut the holes for the gates in the pipes. And my job was to put the gate in. So there was a big rubber gasket that you had to get in, and then you had to fit the aluminum piece in there that slid open and closed for whether you wanted to, what row you wanted the water to go down. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did another summer. Because and then the thing is that I went to college for a year and a half, and I ran out of money. My mother was, taking care of 5 kids, and she wasn't making a heck of a lot of money.
Your scholarships didn't cover everything?
Didn't cover hardly anything. They were little scholarships.
Okay.
I mean, 500 from the Lions Club and 200 from the Knights of Columbus and
Right.
Stuff like that. And so ran out of money, and so I went to Omaha, and I found a job in a cold storage warehouse where we stacked the crud from the Wilson packing plant's day of slaughtering pigs. So we did not get the hams and the loins and the ribs and all of those things.
Right.
We got the skins, the jowls, the feet, the tails, the hearts, the pancreas, the livers, and so on. And they came to us in 100-pound boxes, and we would stack them up, put spreaders in between the rows, and put them in our freezers and freeze them. And then they would eventually take them out. And the hardest ones were the skins. They came in bags, and they were very difficult. They easily ripped. They were never conformed. It was awful.
Right.
And they weighed 96 pounds. They're very difficult to deal with.
Right.
But we shipped out more skins than anything else. The freezer would fill up with skins, and a railroad car would come, and we'd load them into the railroad car, and off they'd go to make lipstick.
Lipstick. Didn't know that was an ingredient.
Well,
Lipstick
was then.
skins.
I don't know about today, but I don't use lipstick.
Right.
So I really don't know. But I do know that that's what it was. And I also know that when we were loading a boxcar with skins, somebody would always manage to whack one against the door, and the bag would break open, and 50 pounds of skins would fall on the street. And those same evenings, lo and behold, the Butternut Bakery, which was on the next corner down from our cold storage warehouse, was this Butternut Bakery, and somebody, on the nights that we spilled skins, somebody always dropped a tray of bread.
Okay.
And the bums got a hot pork sandwich. Something to
Hot pork skin sandwich.
hot pork sandwich.
Which sounds absolutely disgusting, but I guess when
If
you're
you got
above,
nothing else to eat, well, it's pork rinds. You've eaten fried pork rinds.
I put them in my mouth, usually to spit them out moments later.
Well, President George H.W. Bush loved them, if you recall.
I don't, but
Okay.
they're commonly recommended as a snack on these various low-carb diets that I partake in. And,
Yeah, because they're all fat.
yeah, and then I've never managed to
I see.
acquire a taste for them.
Well, some folks did,
Indeed.
and we would send them off. Anyway, so that was, worked there for about 5 or 6 months. And then one of my roommates, where I had answered an ad in the newspaper, they were looking for another roommate, was a guy named Kelly Stickle, who worked for Fairmont Foods Research and Development Laboratory. And one of their lab techs had quit, and he thought I would be good for the job, and so I went down and interviewed with them, and they hired me to create ice cream flavors.
Ah.
And Kelly Stickle was trying, at that, Fairmont Foods brand was Kitty Clover. And Frito-Lay had just come out with flavored potato chips. So this is what, 1964.
What was the first flavor? Do you remember?
Yeah, onion,
Sour cream and onion was the very first one?
Yep.
First and still the best.
And,
All right.
and second, almost at the same time, was barbecue. And
It's not a
so
favorite.
Kelly's
A
Stickle's
classic.
job was to create these flavors on potato chips, okay, so that we could compete.
Right.
And so how do you find out which combination of spices tastes the best? You taste them.
Yeah.
So, in the lab, I swear to God, it seemed like every 10 minutes, but it was probably every couple of hours. He would set up 5 or 6 stations with chips A and B. Just A and B. And you chose which one you liked best and wrote your name down. You had to eat 4 or 5 chips. And you go around and this was every day for months. I couldn't eat a potato chip for years after that. Years, seriously.
Wow.
Well, I had to make about 80 different ice cream flavors every 2 months, because Fairmont Foods would choose one to make as a production ice cream. And I made hundreds of different ones, and made 2 or 3 pints of each. Run them through an ice cream freezer, put in 50 or 60% air, which is what you buy when you buy ice cream. You buy air, most of it.
Right.
And then my boss would price them out based on how much it would cost to produce. Because I had no limit, but he had limits, and so he would price them out. And then we would select 8 or 10 that he thought were the best. And his boss would come down from downtown Omaha to taste them and decide. We called him the woofer.
The woofer.
The woofer. He ate 8 pints of ice cream when he came down. He ate the whole pint of every one that we set out in front of him.
Wow. Dude must have been immense.
Yeah, he was. And
That's
we
funny.
called him the woofer. But he would choose. And 3 of my flavors were produced national, all over the country.
Yeah.
Fairmont Foods had 7 production labs, production facilities for ice cream, and they were Cherry's Jubilee,
Still pretty popular.
Huckleberry Swirl,
Yeah, that's lost to antiquity.
and Banana Swirl in chocolate ice cream.
So chocolate banana.
Chocolate banana. And I thought that was the best, but it also went the way of antiquity.
Not so much. I've seen versions of chocolate banana, I think. Maybe not recently.
And then one of the most fun things I did was create Fooler bars.
Okay.
It was going to be a novelty for the summer. and I made a number of things. One were these Fuller bars that were like popsicles, except that the blue one was flavored cherry, and the red one was lemon, and the white one was chocolate, and you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I also created a baseball bat and ball ice cream cone, which you know, had a baseball on top of the cone. I thought that was very attractive, but my favorite, never made it anywhere, was the football. So then you put 2 cones and 2 things of ice cream, and you know, do the right kind of design, and it looks like a football.
Very clever.
Yeah, but they didn't go for any of that. They went for the Fuller bar.
Okay.
No, that was, when I left, I was invited to unload all the extra stuff that I'd ever made in the freezer, that was in the freezer, and there was a lot of ice cream. And the reason I quit is then I had saved my money. The things I had that job during the day, and then during the night, I went back to the warehouse. And so I worked a full shift creating ice cream, and then I would drive into downtown Omaha and work 8 hours at the food warehouse, mostly packing the pig run, but sometimes picking the orders for Nash Finch frozen foods, because we stored their frozen foods, and when we got orders from the Nash Finch stores, which were Hinky Dinky, Jack and Jill, and Piggly Wiggly. Hinky Dinky, Piggly Wiggly, and Jack and Jill. Those were Nash Finch brand stores. They were all over Nebraska, and I would pick the orders, put them in a big freezer container with a chunk of dry ice, put it on a truck, and off they go to deliver it all. Anyway, so I made good money. I think I worked for $1.75 at the warehouse, and I was a salaried employee for Fairmont Foods for $300 a month. Good money.
Yeah.
Good money. And so I went back to school, and I hauled all this ice cream with me. And my roommates, one of whom was Kelly Stickle, he was back in school in food science, and another fellow whose name was Mitch Ayers, who was from Sargent. I'd known him at Sargent. He had a place to live, so he became our 3rd roommate. And they ate all that ice cream. I don't believe I ate ice